from a school leadership standpoint, it just meant a lot of regulations and policies that went unfunded. Okay, there were a lot of mandates that were made upon school districts to meet certain levels of achievement, but the resources wasn't provided in order to help us meet those expectations. For example, in some school districts, you have students that have been low performing for several years for various reasons, and then you just pass a legislation to say if all of your students aren't meeting a certain expectation or a certain level by the end of a calendar school year, then it's going to affect your funding that you receive. Okay, so if you look at it, it was mainly affecting urban schools that serve students that come from poverty and low socioeconomic status, because those students are the ones that are most deprived economically, lacking the most resources, and then in turn that connects and affects their academic performance. So if you put in legislation that says they have to be here and they're here, but you don't provide the resources for them to meet those expectations, then there's a conundrum there. So as an administrator, those were the things that I had to deal with during those times. So now No Child Left Behind is kind of like a thing of the past now, and now the new thing is the Common Core state standards.
Great. Now what, you said the school board, which is political.
Mm-hmm.
What role should politicians or the government play in school?
Well,
Education.
I think that politicians and government should consult with the educators before making policies and mandates, because a lot of times these politicians who know nothing about education, and just because you attended school, that don't mean you know about school or know how to govern a school or know how to run a school. So these politicians, because they were elected, and you can have any kind of background and be elected, and they make decisions without consulting the educators, and then we have to implement these mandates, and a lot of times there's a disconnection. So I think that in order to make things level across all playing fields and things to be consistent across the board, I think that the politicians at the state level and also the federal levels, they need to confer with the educators that are actually doing the work and get their input and get their insights and opinions before making these legislations and creating these policies. You want to provide the best programming for your school, and you don't want to dumb down or water down the curriculum or the programs just because you serve a certain population. All right, you want to make sure that if you have students that can reach certain levels, you want to make sure that they have programs, whether it's academic programs, whether it's elective programs, vocational, whatever the case may be. You want to provide the best programs taught by the best personnel and teachers possible, because the stronger your programs are, the stronger the learning environment will be, and the stronger the learning environment, the stronger the students will be academically.
Do you ever get pushback from that? Do you ever get someone that says, hey, no, we need to keep them at this level? Is that true?
Well, I don't think that it's twofold. All right, on one end you have the socioeconomic piece, where you have some students and families that go into the educational environment already below expectations. And then on the other side of the personnel, you have certain staff members and personnel that may have certain low expectations as well. And these low expectations from personnel come about in various ways. Sometimes they could, unknowingly, start feeling sorry for the students because they see that students come to the school setting and they're deprived of certain resources. They may not, have eaten the day before or don't have, certain resources, coats and shoes and things of that nature. So people may feel sorry for them, and then that feeling sorry and may translate into them lowering the expectations academically. So as the school leader, I got to make sure that that doesn't happen, and that even though students may not have different resources, and they may not have different coats and shoes and certain things, material-wise, that has nothing to do with their brain and their ability to learn and function. So I got to make sure that the expectations and the standards stay high, and that the student always reach to meet those high expectations. Of course, we're going to provide interventions and different concessions and adaptations so that students can go from one level to the next, but at the same time, we're going to still maintain a high standard and high expectation.